All righty, everybody. Welcome back. Billy Muzio and Bradley Stalder here for the Fantasy Football Fanalists. And tonight we have a special request to review and project the outcome of a Dynasty League called the No Quitters League. This is a year one 12-team Dynasty PPR League. Starting rosters consist of one quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers, one tight end, three flexes, one super flex position with 10 bench spots, 5 IR spots, and 4 taxi spots. There are a lot of familiar faces here in this league, Bradley. It's the typical group of degenerates that we are used to seeing in a lot of leagues. I mean, there's a lot of the same degenerates that we see every single place we go. There's really only 4 names in here that I'm unfamiliar with, but it'll be good for them to hear our analysis, make fun of the guys, laugh at them, laugh with them, stir the pot, because, you know, as soon as this ends, these podcasts are great for activity. We always seem to see trades commence immediately after. And that's the beauty about these things. I think that's why we get hired. Because quite frankly, who really wants to listen to you and I talk for an hour? They want to see what they think of the teams, and they want to see people go frantic afterwards, making trades to try to make things happen. So, folks, today we're going to force rank every team in the league from last to first, 12-1, using our own personal projections and analysis, all of which can be found at our website. Do you want to click the button? No, we didn't add that one. All right. At our website at the FFFfanalist.com, we rank each team based on our own FF Fanalist Dynasty projections and take into consideration this league's current settings as well as future draft picks for long-term longevity, since this is a Dynasty League. So we want to make sure that we're taking into all considerations as we're ranking these. But while discussing each team, we'll also comment on player selection, roster construction, position theory, and recommend trades if we see any that may fit the needs of each team.
All right. I love the intro, Billy. We get a lot of these degenerates, as you mentioned before. Jeff has already said stir the pot, so we're going to stir the pot up tonight. We've got some maybe some controversial takes, hopefully not too controversial. You don't want there was another podcast that pulled, they left the number 6 seed until the end, where everyone thought, oh, they were going to be the champions, declared champions. No, it was actually the 6th seed. And so I was in that league and I was like, wait a minute. Oh no, this is in descending order or ascending order, however you want to think about it. We are going to start with number 12. So Billy, I mean, let's kick it off here. Our 12th ranked team, I'm going to pull it up here. And this is taking into account, as Billy mentioned, not just starting lineups, but also assets, rookie picks, team makeup, chemistry. I don't know how much chemistry you can say in fantasy football, but roster. Yeah, stacks and roster construction and how we see that playing out. So the 12th team that we have ranked here, K-Fan. K-Fan comes in at number 12, and I'm just going to go through the roster, and then we'll make some comments about it. At the quarterback position, Nick Foles. Yeah, that's a good way to start. Billy, usually we lead off with our strongest hot players during the season, but that's not a good start. Okay.
I just want to say that he actually has Andrew Luck as the starting position, but I moved him to the bench just to start this off, because I knew that he wasn't going to be starting next year, so I had to throw Nick Foles in for him. So in case you're listening here, K-Fan, just in case you weren't sure, Andrew Luck retired. And I don't think he's staying retired. He's staying retired. So I don't think he's going to be here. So number 12, here you are. And there's a reason why you're number 12, because you have Andrew Luck as your starting quarterback.
Nick Foles is officially in that quarterback slot. Christian McCaffrey is at the running back slot. James Robinson, diamond in the rough. DJ Moore at the wide receiver 1 position. James Washington and Corey Davis fill out the wide receiver 2 and 3 spots. We got Darren Waller and Irv Smith. Okay. Jalen Guyton and Tyler Conklin. As much as there was reports out today about Kyle Rudolph not willing to play the same role at that paycheck. So hopefully he gets another starting gig, and that would open up Tyler Conklin. But for right now, there's not a lot to love about Tyler Conklin. And in Superflex, Marcus Mariota. Now on the bench, as Billy mentioned, Andrew Luck.
Because I moved him there.
Tyrod Taylor, Travion Williams, Rodney Smith. This sounds like an Ant Smith team, by the way.
Real quick interruption too. Rodney Smith isn't even on Dynasty Trade Calculator. I had to verify that we didn't miss him in our rankings. And so I pulled him up on Dynasty Trade Calculator, and he's not even to be found. Like, he doesn't exist in DTC.
And yet there were at least a couple instances last year where he got do you have at least a game with double-digit carries, if I recall correctly?
Well, the key word there was instances. I mean, it's not happening over and over again.
Oh, okay, but at least maybe he would have shown a blimp on that thing. Nope. Anyways, Isaiah Coulter, David Njoku, Anthony Ferkser, or Foster Moreau, Donald Parham, Bryson Hopkins, Tyler Johnson. Now, what K-Fan has going for him, or her, I suppose, I don't know, could be. This is one of the degenerates we don't know. 1.05, 1.10, 1.11, 1.12, 203, 206, 2 third-round picks, has all of the 2022 picks, an extra third in 2022. That's what's good, is it seems that there are first-round picks to work with and early seconds. And you got Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore, but there are some serious holes that need to be filled. And if you're banking on a James Robinson filling in the diamond in the rough, luck runs out here. Or I mean, there's enough luck already on this team.
Yeah, and I just don't know if it's enough, because it's not like he has, 2 or 3 top 3 picks to where he is able to fill out his quarterback positions in a super flex with some early draft capital. I mean, his first pick is 1.05, and yes, he's got some solid running backs. He's got an outstanding tight end, but I just don't know if the amount of capital he has is enough to overcome his lack of quarterbacks and also to kind of fill in the blanks for the wide receivers. He's essentially relying on every one of those picks hitting just to be competitive this year. And I don't think it's going to happen. Let's just say that he is able to hit on a few of them. Great. He's going to be a little bit more competitive, but I still think he's in for an uphill battle for the remainder of the year.
Well, and there's a lot of zeros on this bench. And in a 12-team league, you can't afford to have that many zeros when bye weeks pop up and the rookies, as you mentioned, just aren't going to pan out in the way that K-Fan will hope. I mean, look, we're talking about like the Jalen Ragers of the world. We're talking about the Ruggs of the world, right? Those, you had to draft them in the first round. They weren't going to get into the second round, but they're not going to pan out for you first year. So,
okay, there's a comment here. It was his first dynasty draft ever. Okay, that's apparent.
Ouch. Probably a lot of trades up and downs, and yikes. Okay.
So there's a steep curve when you're new to Dynasty. For anyone listening who's not in this league, Dynasty, some people overvalue Dynasty picks, especially rookie picks. Now, there's a lot to be said for a rookie pick, but there's also a lot of risk associated with rookie picks because, number one, they don't always hit like we just mentioned. We mentioned the Ruggs, we mentioned the Ragers, and those are a little bit more of a developmental candidates and prospects that are going to take more time to develop. And sometimes they just pan out like Corey Davis, where you have them for 5 years, like yours truly over here, and they don't hit till their 5th year. So
this guy.
So sometimes there's a lot of risk associated with draft picks. So some people value them more than others, and that's what you can find in these leagues. And like Jeff said here, and he is drafting with the can't even say it, the degenerates here. So it's a little bit more of a learning curve when you're drafting with some experienced Dynasty players as well.
All right. I think we've ragged on K-Fan enough. Let's move to number 11. Oh no. Oh, Billy. Oh, do we have to talk about number 11? Because this is gonna break. This might financially impact us.
He's been one of our biggest supporters.
Okay, so unfortunately, at number 11, J Ash 5150, number 11th ranked. I know. We're gonna get a lot of heat for this, but number 11th at quarterback, Kirk Cousins. So at least that's off to a good start. Much better than Nick Foles. Okay. Alvin Kamara, also good. Miles Sanders, Tyler Lockett, Keenan Allen, Cortland Sutton, Tyler Higbee, James Conner, Mike Gesicki, Tua Tagovailoa, Antonio Gibson round out the starting lineup. On the bench, however, Mitchell Trubisky, Rashad Penny, Anthony McFarland, DJ Dallas, Sterling Shepard, Josh Reynolds. I actually think that Josh Reynolds is going to be a nice little pickup this offseason. So I'm trying to get a little bit of Josh Reynolds here and there. But Kiki QT, Darius Slayton, not Darius Shepard, Austin Hooper, KJ Hamler, JaMychal Hasty. And then on the taxi squad, Donovan Peoples-Jones. He might be poised for a breakout year if OBJ is traded. KJ Hill is on the taxi squad, Quez Watkins, JJ Taylor. But there are no first-round picks this year or even second-round picks that I see. Third-round picks, I don't see that either. There are 2022 first-round or just picks in general. So my initial takeaway is this is a lot hinges on Tua. A lot hinges on Tua, and that flex spot of James Conner, I think is a big question mark too. Of does Conner come back? What kind of role does he have? And are you going to be able to fill in that hole here with those bench players? You're going to need someone to hit, maybe Sterling Shepard or Darius Slayton, KJ Hamler to pop. You need someone to pop here.
I'm laughing because all these comments coming up as you're reading through his roster, and everyone's so focused on Reynolds here. They're saying they're going to send you offers in League of Champs then because you're high on Reynolds. He's sending it right now.
Please send me all of the Reynolds. I'll either accept or reject, but there we go.
So Josh's team here, I mean, the QBs are mediocre and they all have question marks here. He's got solid running backs. He really does. And he's got solid wide receivers. Mm-hmm. Question marks for tight ends. I mean, there's really no bench at all. And there's no picks, literally 0 picks. That's a typical Josh build, by the way. Like if you could just show me someone's roster and I could see there's 0 picks and stout running backs, I would say that's Josh. You show me an average team of like 34, I'd say I'm the champion, right? There's a lot of people in this league that
Julio Jones.
Yeah.
If Julio Jones isn't on a champ team, I don't know. I'm not even playing in that league.
So there's a lot of these people, like we said, we play with a lot of these guys. So we know these degenerates' moves. We can identify their rosters just by looking at them and say that's the team. So, I mean, it's typical for Josh not to have a lot of picks. So I'm not too concerned with that because he usually shakes it off and does all right. But he's all in the champ shots. Yes. Josh is really all in this year with no depth, which is the scary part. I mean, his taxi's gross. He really only has DPJ here. He's the only real option here on his taxi. So I'm a little concerned, Josh. I really am, because I truly think that you're going to compete a little bit this year, but you're an injury or 2 away from not being able to compete. And then at that point, you're going to have to start trading away your key assets in order to be competitive next year.
Well, so I hit on Tua obviously being a big question mark, but the fact that there's no other quarterback behind him, really, there's Mitchell Trubisky. Like, okay. I mean, we had to get Mitchell Trubisky in our startup, but I mean,
it's like round 15 though. It was different.
Yeah. So maybe find a way to upgrade that somehow or get lucky. Yeah. Burn it all down, Josh.
Burn it down.
Burn it all. I think that there's just a hole in the flex, and not having that third quarterback. You're going to hope that Mitchell Trubisky lands a starting job somewhere. Okay. Any other comments about this one?
Last comment. I mean, before you burn it to the ground, let's see how free agency shakes up. Like, let's see what happens with Trubisky. Let's see where he lands. Because if he lands a gig, now you have 3 quarterbacks. And if Carson goes to another team, now you have another starting running back with Rashad Penny. So now all of a sudden you have depth. And then you have DJ Dallas, who's going to be the backup to Penny, or vice versa, 1A, 1B, however they're going to play this out. So you have pieces here that they have to hit in free agency, or free agency has to play out in order for them to hit, I should say. I mean, you have, Kiki Kuti, like, what's going to happen with Watson? We don't know. So I think there's a lot of things on here. There's a lot of question marks. And if everything lines up, if the stars align, Josh,
so you're telling him there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance.
Well, yeah, I think there is a tier break even from Josh down to K-Fan. So, I mean, we're starting to get into a feasible team, even just in the 11th, and that's where it becomes, I think, a lot closer. K-Fan had the 11th ranked starting lineup based on what we were looking at, but Josh has the 8th. So definitely, like, within striking distance, has a stronger starting lineup than the depth would suggest here.
Yeah, so what we're saying is K-Fan's an SEC team, and then everyone else is in the NFL.
Okay. Yes. Let's go to number 10. Number 10 overall and 10th in starter rank is LeKid. And LeKid has quarterbacks Russell Wilson, Saquon Barkley at running back, and Josh Jacobs as his RB2. Michael Pittman, Marvin Jones, and Christian Kirk are the 3 wide receivers that are starting. TJ Hawkinson, starting tight end. David Montgomery, Myles Gaskin, Julian Edelman at the flex. Okay. Then Derek Carr is at the super flex, so that's a respectable quarterback too. He's got Jimmy Garoppolo on the bench, Gio Bernard, Wayne Gallman, Nelson Aguilar, Jacoby Myers, Zach Pascal, Steven Sims, Dalton Schultz, Will Dissly, Jimmy Graham, Bryce Love. He's got lots of love on this team. So he's got Bryce Love and Jordan Love. So there we go. Lynn Bowden, and he's got LeKid's got the 106, 201, and 204 as significant picks for this year. Those could play a big part in filling out maybe some of those positions, such as shoring up that quarterback 3 position. That could be an important part, just in not being uncertain about Jimmy Garoppolo's future. And perhaps addressing that wide receiver position, seeing Michael Pittman, Marvin Jones, Christian Kirk, and Julian Edelman in the starting lineup. That 201, 204 in a 12-team league could still be a viable rookie wide receiver. So,
and before I dive in here, we had a question here. Do the scoring settings play a big part in your rankings? Just wondering before this next team. So in the beginning, we mentioned that we do use our own personal FF Analyst rankings and projections that can be found at ffanalyst.com. They're not fully loaded in there yet. We have kind of an Excel sheet that Bradley and I use all off season before we load them into the website. So that is first and foremost is our dynasty projections. Then we take into consideration the league scorings. So we go through and we look at and we say, hey, you know what? This league has a rushing first down bonus. This league has a receiving first down bonus. It has a big play 40-yard ability both on the ground. Tight end premium. It's got PPR wide receiver premium. So yes, we did take into consideration all of the extra scoring settings, and then blended it with our own personal rankings here to get kind of the consensus for the league. And again, we also take into consideration future picks as well as 2021 picks as well.
And because that's a reality that you have to face going into the season, those can be traded. And that's one of the adjustments that we made from like the preseason last year to what we want to do now is recognize that teams that have rookie picks can flip those. They can flip those to other teams that are interested and then immediately bolster their lineup for the now. And that's especially something that we're interested in for making sure that we're more accurate, because a team that has a team that's already good but has rookie picks is more likely to trade those rookie picks just to consolidate and give themselves a better chance at the championship here.
Yeah, so I mean, think about like what I did in League of Lowered Expectations, right? Like I think we projected me as like 7th in that league, but I had like three.
Yeah, you were middle of the pack.
3 2021 draft picks, and I made a run for it because my team was hot and got wiped out by Jobs in the championship, but made a championship. So that's the kind of thing to look at is can someone make a run at the end if they need to with draft capital? And yes, Jeff, I went through and noticed every single player did not have a single pick. And it was only one person that had their original pick in the draft, but went through and found all of the picks. So on here, we'll mention those picks. And I stopped after round 3 and just said, hey, round 4 doesn't really matter. Get them out of here. So we're going to just, look at the round 1s through 3, and we have a pick assigned to each one of those as well. So if it's 1.06, it's 1.06, and all the way to 3.12. So back to LeKid here. I mean, my notes on LeKid here are Wilson's good, but I'm not a fan of Derek Carr. I mean, running back names look good on paper, and projections and health-wise, though, are concerns in 2021. I mean, if you guys haven't done so, go to our website and read Wayne's articles. It talks about running back efficiencies here. Spoiler alert, 2 of your running backs, LeKid, are on the running back efficiency list here on our website. So I have some serious concerns over some of those running backs and the efficiency numbers that they've had through the last couple of years. And it talks about the declining efficiencies in running backs, and some of these running backs hit that red mark here. The next thing is I have serious question marks at wide receiver too. I mean, Pittman's this team's wide receiver 1 realistically. And
yikes.
And I mean, they don't even have a quarterback right now. So there's a lot that's going to kind of play into the fact here of what's going to happen. And is Pittman going to be able to make the next step? Because great, he's going to become a target hog probably, but who's throwing him the ball? That's my main concern here. And then the rest of it are, your tight end. I mean, my shorts are starts. I love your tight end. Yeah, but the bench is just yuck. I think his bench is nasty, and his taxi squad is even worse. So I think that LeKid is placed accordingly here.
Yeah, I'm surprised that LeKid is even 10th. Like, I would have kind of put, if it was like just a gut call, probably Josh above. But just looking at our numbers, we got to go by the numbers. So sorry,
but it's
Josh.
Also the numbers that reflect the draft picks. I mean, 1.06, 2.01, 2.04, 3.1,
those could
3.11.
be pretty impactful, and that's why it's like we put the value there, but the reality is that you still have to make those decisions, and it could be a boom, it could be a bust. And last year, Alex Krupski and I of Three Coast Sports co-wrote an article looking at the top 12 draft picks historically and those hit rates, like of what of how those top 12 picks have done during the first round historically over the last 10 years, and it's been pretty terrible.
I had to screenshot this banner. I'm sorry. I'm sending it to Josh later.
Even the 1.01 was only at about a 67-70% hit rate. So, and it goes down all the way down to about like a 35% hit rate for even the end of the first round. So it is a risky play, like banking that you're going to get a useful player in that first round. It's between a 35 and 65% chance usually in that first round. So sorry, just my 2 cents there. Okay. Anything else on LeKid here at number 10?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Number 9, NP Erator or Nperator. Okay. Number 9. But Nperator is number 6 in our starter ranks. So you're going to definitely see a lack of depth or a lack of other options here. We'll start at quarterback, Justin Herbert. That's a strong start. Austin Eckler, Leonard Fournette, playoff Lenny. There we go. T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson, Brandon Cooks, Travis Kelce, Chase Edmonds, Darnell Mooney, Logan Thomas, and then Deshaun Watson at the QB2. Now looking on the bench, Carson Wentz. So I would feel comfortable as Wentz is my quarterback 3. He'll probably find somewhere to be. I know there's a lot of worry about what's going on, but he will land on his feet, I think. Haskins is on the bench. J.D. McKissick is there as well. My boy Russell Gage. I'm still accepting Russell Gage offers if anyone still has him somehow in their leagues.
So is Reynolds this year your 2021 Gage? Is that what this is?
Not yet, but he's on the radar. He's on the radar. Chad Hansen for a brief moment was my Russell Gage. But now we'll see. Greg Ward, Quintez Cephas, AJ Green, also on the bench. Your Eric Ebron, Jacob Hollister, CJ Uzoma, Paris Campbell, Colin Johnson, and Reichwell, COVID Armstead, rounding out the bench. Billy aptly reminding us that Reichwell Armstead missed the entire season on the COVID list. And we found out later that he had to be hospitalized twice. So if you didn't hear about Greg, Chad Hansen, Gardner Minshew, we know the list. We know Bradley's favorites. Okay. Jacob Eason on the taxi squad, Antonio Gandy Golden on the taxi squad, Joshua Kelly, Freddie Swain. The 108 will be drafted and the 212. And then there are a couple 4th round picks as well.
He has no 1 or 2 though in 2022. He only has rounds 3 through 4.
That's true. So there is a lack of future depth, but I mean,
he's got a lot of pieces he can work with here. Like
I feel like there's a lot of young pieces that I wouldn't be too worried about. So a solid, I would say playoff contending starters, but if Chase Edmonds doesn't materialize, if Brandon Cook struggles under a new quarterback, if Deshaun Watson goes, like that Watson Cook stack could be powerful if it stays in Houston, but it could fall apart if Watson departs.
And I mean, think about it. If Big Ben keeps getting tendonitis his elbow from jerking it on the road and Dwayne Haskins stops hanging out with strippers, then he might have a 4th quarterback. There's a lot here that has to fall into place, but hey, you may have 4 quarterbacks.
You said it, not me. All right. Yeah. So I think that a smart play here is possibly looking at leveling up that 1.08 to maybe a 1.05 and trying to get a running back. Seeing if you can move up just a couple spots, see if you can get a useful running back. I know there's Austin Eckler there, but then it falls off to Fournette. Don't know his future yet. I know there's a lot of chatter about where he's going to be. Not sure yet. Chase Edmonds, also uncertain based on free agency. Mark Ingram's dust. That's kind. And really, I don't see much J.D. McKissick, because of PPR. But I think that's the move here is you should get a look to address that in the rookie draft. And if you need to move up a couple spots.
Yeah. So my notes here for like a trade prospect is it's great to have I love your quarterback situation. I absolutely love Herbert. I love Deshaun Watson, but let's face it, you can probably trade down for one of those players, get a lesser quarterback, and then grab a pick with it or a running back, and then help upgrade that position. But I really do love your quarterback. So if you're set on keeping him, I'm fine with that. But you got to find a way to get value here on a running back. So the flip side, though, his running backs could come back with a vengeance. I mean, Fournette looks like he kind of reignited his career here towards the second half of the season. There was recent news that he was going to be cut in December before Rojo came down with COVID. And I mean, gosh darn it. I mean, that would have been so great for
the most fortunate case of COVID.
Yeah. So, and so he reignited that career and helped him lead him to a Super Bowl. So he's going to land a job somewhere. And we saw what Eckler did when he came back from injury. So his running backs could come back with a vengeance. We just have to see a little bit more longevity out of them and what he can do to kind of deepen that position here. Kelsey's a beast, but do you need him on this team? I don't think so. Right. I think you could trade Kelsey here to once you see who the top 3-4 teams are here, get some value back, get some picks, whatever it may be, kind of set yourself up for the future because you do have young quarterbacks. So there's a lot of different ways that you can approach this team. And I really like what you did in the draft, but I just don't think you're going to be super competitive this year. And I mean, you're going to put up a fight, but I just don't think you're going to make a run for the ship here. I mean, he does have 2 top 20 picks, which is nice, but I don't think it's enough. And my final note on here was this team could easily outperform this rank. It really could. And so I think that if it's anybody here, anyone that we're mentioning on this entire podcast tonight, this team and Josh's team were the 2 that could really outperform where we ranked them.
Okay, quick question here, Billy. Would Travis Kelce get you the 104 in the rookie draft?
Sorry, I was reading Jeff's comment here. Oh, you should see Bradley when we used to record offline. Bradley looks at me like, did he really just say that? And then afterwards, I'm like,
Billy, we're going to need the bleeper.
As soon as the podcast ends, I said, I don't care. I'm pressing the button that this is not okay for kids and we're posting it.
It's fun. It's fun. It's good cop, bad cop. And I'm okay being the bad cop. There's irony there. Okay, Billy, back to it. So does
Okay.
Travis Kelce get you the 104 in the rookie draft?
I think you can get more than that. I think someone who's making a run for the championship. I think so. I don't think that those top players have top picks, if I remember right. No, they do not.
We'll get to that. That might be a difference maker.
It might be a difference maker, but I think that there's a lot of room for flexibility. And I think Travis Kelce, I mean, let's face it, he's getting older, but tight ends have a little bit more longevity and age. They take longer to develop.
He's been number one for 5 years straight, Billy. And yep. I mean, look, even if he falls off next, I don't even imagine him falling off, but even if he does,
he's top 5 still.
At the tight end position is dust. He'll still be a top 10 tight end in 4 years.
Yeah, I think so. So I think for somebody in the running, I think he's worth the picks, multiple picks or top pick that it's going to cost to acquire him. Running back in a pick. There's lots of different ways you can approach this.
All right, Billy, we got to keep moving.
Let's move.
Number eight. Oh man, we're definitely not going to be the popular crowd here. Number 8, Chewy. We're throwing you at number 8. Number 2 in starting lineup though, so very top heavy. Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, Dalvin Cook at running back, Nick Chubb at the RB2, DeAndre Hopkins at wide receiver, Allen Robinson at wide receiver 2, Tyler Boyd at wide receiver 3, Mark Andrews, Michael Gallup, Laviska Shenault, Robert Tonyan, my boy Robert Tonyan, Matthew Stafford. And then on the bench, he does have a third quarterback, Matt Ryan. But then COVID opt-out Damian Williams, Duke Johnson, you mean Dust Johnson, Marlon Mack, Mr. Achilles, Nyheim Hines is there as well, Alexander Madison to handcuff Cook. That's burn it down, Chewy. You heard it here first. Cole Beasley, just like you did in Win 2, and then now you got the rank you did on that podcast. Hunter Renfrow. What is a draft? What is a Chewy draft without Hunter Renfrow? Anyways, Dawson Knox rounds out the bench. Benjamin, Marquez Callaway on taxi.
God, I'm loving the comments live. This is fantastic. I'm sorry to interrupt, Bradley.
This is all great. Good. There is no 2021 first or 2022 first. There's no 21 second. And that's what, as I mentioned earlier, this is the number 2 in starting lineup. And, there are some useful pieces. There's a lot of question marks, though, on the bench as well. I love a team with Robert Tonyan on it, though. I do, Billy. Ryan Tannehill statistically has been as good as Patrick Mahomes over the last 2 years. I think that he's undervalued, and I think that Tannehill, like Billy and I were talking about, Hurts or Tannehill, and I think it was really a toss-up earlier. But love me some Tannehill, Matthew Stafford at quarterback, and Matt Ryan. Like that's going to be a high floor quarterback situation. And then you've got your running backs and wide receivers. This is definitely a number 2 starting lineup team, but not having a lot of future draft capital. This is an all-in already push. Like middle of the season, I don't see there being much significant movement from here.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the hammer on the nail. It's top heavy. Like we said, we can identify teams without even seeing the names here. It's a very top heavy team. If he stays healthy, he's very, very, very dangerous. I mean, if this team, for some godforsaken reason, doesn't experience an injury or there's no COVID next year, I think that this team is going to be very, very dangerous and is going to really outperform this ranking here. I mean, he's got Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, DeAndre Hopkins, Allen Robinson, Tyler Boyd. Those are all workhorses or target hogs. I mean, every single one of those players, Mandrews. I mean, every single one of those players here is. And if
Michael Gallup gets traded to be even the wide receiver 2 on a team, look out.
Yeah, so I think that there is, a lot of wiggle room in this team. I really do. Solid running backs, like I said, solid wide receivers. Flex spots have some questions, but have some upside as well.
How dare you call Robert Tonyan a question? Get out of here.
You know how I feel about Tonyan. I think he's still a top 10 tight end. I do. But what happens? This is Dynasty. What happens in the future once the Packers' first round draft pick of 2020 starts coming into play here, and Aaron Rodgers starts playing for the Bears? I mean,
stop. Don't even blaspheme. Get out. Billy, I should just hang up this call right now.
What's going to happen to Tunyon then? I mean, it's going to be like a Aaron Rodgers for Trubisky swap.
He had a 38% dominator rating in college. Don't even give me that. He was trained to be a wide receiver.
We shall see. So there's question marks for the future of Tunyon. Okay. So,
but this is a win now team. It's a very top heavy. And if this isn't a playoff team, I'd be very surprised. But there's not a lot it's all chips up front already. So yeah, there we go. But the reason it's 8th is there's just not a lot of we know where they're at, and there's not a lot of there's
no draft capital.
No draft capital. So sorry, Chewy, that's where we have you. But number 2 in starter, number 8 overall. Number 7 is right over here. First, Electric Company. 7th in overall rank, but 4th in starter points, starter rank. Okay. Josh Allen, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones. That's a good start. Devonta Adams is starting wide receiver. Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen. Oh man, I really like this team, but let's keep going. Zach Ertz at tight end. Not liking that as much. Juju, Chris Carson, Jarvis Landry. Okay, that's workable. Daniel Jones. Very nice. As of what quarterback 2, I guess. Alex Smith, Jarrett Stidham. Oh, not so nice. Evan Ingram is on the bench. Okay, so maybe swap out Evan Ingram for Zach Ertz there. I think unless Ertz, Billy and I have been talking about Seattle and Indy as possible landing spots for Zach Ertz. So we'll see. Overall rank 7 here. Marquez Valdez, Scantling, Miles Boykin, Travis Fulgham, Thad Moss, Michael P. Ryan, my boy Dan Arnold. He ended up coming on strong at the end of the year. Jeff Wilson. I'm surprised Jeff Wilson isn't as highly projected. Are the 49ers going to sign someone, Billy?
I would not be surprised if they did, but they're not going to spend anything on him. I think that if they did, it's going to be a bottom of the bucket signing that's only going to eat into workload here. But I think that Jeff Wilson will pop up in our rankings here as the free agency kind of settles down. We kind of have a better, clear understanding, which I think that then in turn, this team's ranking will do the same. But until then, I think with some questions unanswered with the Niners and what they're going to do, number 1 at quarterback and then number 2 in the backfield, I think is the reason why he's ranked where he is in our projections.
Well, he still has Van Jefferson, Devin Asiasi, and flash in the pan Antonio Williams on the taxi squad. No first-round pick in 2021, late second, late third, and a 4th, and does have all the 22 picks intact. This is, I think, very strong top-heavy build once again, but I feel like the bottom drops out even further than Chewy's. For this one.
And there's a reason why. So this team is very good. It really is. But there's a reason why it's ranked where it's at. There's a lot of question marks. There's age here. There's free agency coming up. I mean, what's happened with Aaron Jones? What's going to happen with Chris Carson? They're most likely going to be on new teams here. But when I take a look at it, I love me some Josh Allen. I'm not a huge fan of Daniel Dimes, but I think that he's gonna play out a little bit.
He's gonna play better than he did this past year.
There's no way he can play worse. If he is, he's not going to be playing much longer. But his running backs do scare me. I mean, we saw what happened with Nixon. That offensive line's horrible. And then we have, like I said, free agency coming up for the rest of the running backs. His wide receivers are very solid, but they're aging. So Dynasty, that played into a factor here with age. Ertz, all I put was a question mark. Where's he going? We don't know. So until then, his rankings are down for our projections until he signs with somebody that is going to utilize him. And then his bench spot, he has a couple fill-ins, which is nice because so far a lot of the benches haven't had, a lot of players that are going to be able to be worked in the mix here. So the real difference here for me is in his picks, right? And his future picks. And yes, he has his 2022s, but not having anything until pick 23 is not giving him a lot of capital wiggle room after free agency.
Well, and I think also having Devonta Adams is a trump card. Devonta Adams is a step above. He's the Tyreek Hill level Like him and Tyreek Hill are in the same breath. And when we're comparing like Chewy's team, I think that Adams has an edge over DeAndre Hopkins. And I think Stephon Diggs has an edge over Allen Robinson.
Yes.
And I think Adam Thielen and Tyler Boyd are at least, in the same tier.
I think Thielen is a tier above, but in terms of dynasty, Boyd's going to outlast him.
So I think in dynasty, you're right. But who else is going to be thrown? It's going to be Jefferson and Thielen in the Minnesota offense. So I think that at least it's pretty close there. And so, yeah, I think that Ryan Tannehill is undervalued on Chewy's team, but when we're looking at the 7-8, it's going to be pretty close. Okay. Any other comments about Electric Company at 7?
They want to know how is Nick's team's better. We don't know who Nick is, but once we get there, you'll understand.
Darkside Emperor at 6.
Darkside Emperor at 6. Okay, well now here we are.
Yeah, perfect transition. So Darkside Emperor at 6, quarterback Aaron Rodgers, David Johnson, Cam Akers at running back, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Julio Jones at wide receiver, George Kittle at tight end, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, and Damian Harris at the flexes, Ryan Fitzpatrick at the super flex, Devonta Freeman, Todd Gurley, Mike Davis, Benny Snell, Zach Moss, Deshaun Jackson, Alan Lazard, Emmanuel Sanders, Isaiah Hodgins, and Adam Troutman fill out the bench. Darkside Emperor is 6th overall, but 7th in starter points. So we will see a lot more pop here, in particular at the 102.
Correct.
So the 102 is going to be a big play here, and that we anticipate that's going to be a quarterback. That's why we did anticipate that being the pick here. Also a 205, 207, 208, not being nobodies, especially with the depth of the wide receiver class that we're anticipating here. This could fill out even just one of those flex spots. I am optimistic, at least a little optimistic about Damian Harris this year. I don't think this is the end for Julio Jones, and David Johnson had a career year last year, believe it or not. I know that like he gets the bad rap for being older and having that wrist injury and then missing 4 games, but he had his highest yards per carry of his career behind that terrible Houston offensive line. Like he played well, and there's no reason to think that he's not going to do a similar thing. I get that Deshaun Watson may or may not still be there, but I mean, teams aren't going to stack the box for David Johnson like they used to.
No, not at all. But the big difference here, and Ben asked, how is he ranked ahead of me? And I think it breaks down to draft capital. That 102 here, having that young of a quarterback for the longevity and dynasty is what separates these two teams. I think that the top half of Electric Company's team is better than Darkside's. I think that Darkside has a lot of upside, though, between Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill as well. And Julio Jones, like we said, had a bad year last year, but his PFF efficiency was still fantastic. So,
well, and did you see the report out of Seattle just today? The Seahawks are looking to sign Mike Davis. Imagine Mike Davis in the Seattle run first offense as being, I'm not going to say like
God, all of my Rashad Penny shares don't want to hear that. That's
like
ridiculous.
Mike Davis was a top 12 running back this past year.
He was.
And Christian McCaffrey played 3 games.
He won me a lot of money on FFPC. He really did.
I know he was already there. So, but yes, I know Mike Davis was already in Seattle, but there are rumors already out there that he will return. And that I think would actually be a good thing. He might be a usable flex option there. Anyways, so Billy already hit on it that that 102 is going to fill in that super flex spot. That's what we anticipate. And there's at least enough veteran depth here to fill in some gaps if Gronk or Antonio Brown fall off. Okay, number 5. Billy's pouring another glass of wine. You caused us to drink, okay? No quitters.
Yeah, you start
here.
talking about ruining my Rashad Penny hopes. I got to pour myself another glass over here.
Okay, number 5. Number 5 is JCap 86. JCap at quarterback has Dak Prescott. His 2 running backs, James White, and J.K. Dobbins. Amari Cooper, A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb. Billy, that wide receiver core. Hunter Henry. Oh, and we got Chase Claypool here too. Dallas Goedert. Raheem must start. And Taysom Hill. Ooh, Billy. You know what? Just for this league's sake, why don't you go on another Taysom Hill rant here?
I fucking hate Taysom Hill. For those of you who have not listened to our podcast, and I don't care, I'm clicking the button, Bradley. This is not child friendly. So earmuffs children at home listening to the podcast. Taysom Hill cost me so much damn money this year. All I needed was 8.5 points from Alvin Kamara and Tyler Lockett in week 15 of a championship in the FFPC to go at a chance for $500,000. But no, Taysom Mother Hill decides to vulture every touchdown because they want to direct snap to the hybrid, whatever he is. He's not even a quarterback. So that's why you have him as flex spot, because he's not a quarterback. You can start a running back there. And so I absolutely hate him. So just because of that, you're 12th place. You have Taysom Hill.
Okay. All right. Back to reality, Billy. Taysom Hill is in
agree. Taysom Hill is the worst. He is.
Taysom Hill is in the super flex spot. Tevin Coleman, who's dust. Jordan Howard is dust. Gus Edwards. There's reports out of Baltimore saying that he may be signed to an extension, which I think would get him 135 to 150 carries, and that puts him in flex consideration. Deontay Harris is there, Traquan Smith, Andy Isabella, lots of dart throws at wide receiver and running back, Ty Johnson, Darwin Thompson, Cameron Brate, Ian Thomas, a dart throw in John Ross, Chris Herndon, OJ Howard at tight end as well. That's a possibility. Tariq Cohen recovering from the ACL injury. I like the taxi squad here. Denzel Mims,
yes.
Brian Edwards, Jalen Hurts, Salvin Ahmed, and the 103. So there's a lot of filling in that running back one spot or running back two, however you want to look at it, or even just a flex spot, moving Raheem Mostert up into that running back, starting running back slot.
Too bad you can't start Taysom Hill there.
Okay. So the dart throw guy is ahead of you. Yes, that is right. I keep clicking at the same time you click. I keep clicking. I want to click, Billy. I want to be a part of this too. Thank you. So there's a lot to be excited about, except there is no 2022 first round pick. This is going to be a hope that it really peaks this year and next year, because there's not going to be a lot of reinforcements. We already see a lot of dust. So JCap, we know you're going to be active on the waiver wire. We know you're going to be looking for just a couple more fill-ins. I mean, that's what Ty Johnson, Darwin Thompson were this year. So
yeah, he has the best taxi squad so far that we've seen. And I expect Hurts to start in this team, and the experimental quarterback can go down to the bench where he belongs. But I mean, you got to think about Mims here. So Mims is getting a new quarterback. I think, word on the street is that Crowder might be a cap casualty. He's the target leader on that team. Look at all those targets.
And Billy, did you hear who they're going to replace Crowder with?
No, I haven't been on the computer.
They're targeting Kendrick Bourne if they don't bring back Jamison Crowder.
So Mims is the wide receiver one. Bourne is a great football player. He's not a good fantasy player. So he gets done what you need him to get done in the real NFL. But I'm telling you right now, he's not going to do anything for fantasy purposes. So, but Mims, I think, takes a step forward here. And so I really like J-Cap's build here. There's a lot of different ways he can go. I think he did a good job. A lot of youth here. His wide receiver core is just fantastic. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It's a little
AJ Brown, any team with AJ Brown at wide receiver, please.
I don't like normally stacking like an Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, but I think if there's a team you can do it here, it's Dallas, especially with Dak coming back. Mm-hmm. So, if it was another team, I'd be concerned, but I think that the volume this team's going to see next year, as long as Dak is back, I think it's okay. So I think it's a job well done, J-Cap. I really like the team. I think you have a lot of options here, and good luck for 2021.
And pretty even build as well. Worth mentioning that J-Cap is 5th in starter points as well. We don't see too often the matching of being ranked both overall and in the starters at the same spot. So J-Cap will be competing this year We'll see what kind of upside each of those players can get him. How Dak Prescott starts the year too. I mean, having that stack of Dak and CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper is going to, I think, be the ride or die for this year for him. Because if Dak doesn't start off strong, if JCap starts, let's say 1-3, right, that's going to be more difficult to dig yourself into a playoff spot. So good luck with that. I really do hope Dak, starts off strong, because I have some investment in Dak, and I know Billy does too. All right. Number 4, we got to keep moving here. Dad Bobs Unite at number 4, but currently number 12 in starter points. Okay. Cam Newton, Brian Hill, Lev Bell. Not an inspiring start, but we'll get to it. Brandon Ayuk, Calvin Ridley at wide receiver. Okay, I like that core. N'Keal Harry, Drew Sample, Latavius Murray, Tony Pollard, Malcolm Brown, Jameis Winston. So not that they are the 12th ranked starter team, but they are 4th overall, which means that there's a lot coming. Drew Brees, CJ Beathard on the bench, Mason Rudolph, Gardner Minshew, Andy Dalton. So there's a lot of dart throws at quarterback here on the bench. Adrian Peterson, who just came out and said he wants to rush for 1,500 yards at age 40. Royce, he said he was, this was in the context of being inspired by Tom Brady winning his 7th ring at age 43. Royce Freeman, Boston Scott, Byron Pringle, who was actually starting over Mecole Hardman and Sammy Watkins near the end of the season there. Kahale Warring, Odell Beckham is there. Darrell Henderson, Jalen Hurd, Nick Mullins. So a lot of dart throws at quarterback. Jalen Reagor on the taxi squad. Jonathan Taylor on the taxi squad. Cole Kmet, A.J. Dillon on the taxi squad. So those definitely bring up the bench points.
Correct.
And that's not all. Dad Bobs Unite has the 103, 104, 107, and 109. So this is where I was talking about it, Billy, is this an opportunity where maybe you flip one of these picks for a Travis Kelce type of player if you want to win this year?
Absolutely not, because this team is built on youth. You can't throw in a Travis Kelce to this team because it's completely contrarian to his build. I mean, if he had, the Julio Joneses, the Bob Woods, the Mike Evans, then yes, if this is an I'm the champion / Chewy build hybrid, then yes, you go for that Travis Kelce. But no, you absolutely can't do it. And I remember I was typing this team into my spreadsheet, and I stopped myself and I said, WTF, this team is garbage. Did someone invite their little brother? And then I kept reading and I said, okay, he's got some youth. He's got some good pieces here. And then I started seeing all his picks. And then I got to his taxi squad and I said, okay, pretty much take everybody out of the top of his roster and move his taxi squad into the starting lineup. And now he's got a decent starting lineup with some very key pieces, by the way, that can carry a week-to-week basis. Add in all those picks, and this guy's going to be dangerous. Now, do I think he's going to win this year? No. Even being ranked number 4? No. This is for future projections. I think this team's going to peak at
it's about equity. And if he really wanted to go all in and trade all of these assets, he could. But I don't think, as you said, I don't think it fits his build. I don't think it's the right move. It could happen. I think he has the ammo to do it, but it's about, sticking to your build and knowing what is going to work for making you win long-term.
And that's what I said. That's why you have no place in getting Kelce on this team. You know what your build is. It's youth. It's future. This team's going to peak in about 2 years, and it's going to be unstoppable. Mark my words.
And there's 2 2022 firsts coming too.
That's what I'm saying. So my notes on here specifically say 2023 and on, this team is dangerous, and it's going to be for a long time. Yeah. So I think that if you were just taking into future projections, this team is number 1. But adding into this year and next year, this team's going to suffer a little bit. And so as long as he's able to weather the storm and take the beatings, then 2023, I think the future's looking bright for him, and he's gonna take off here.
And even like if he recognizes he's not competitive this year, like why would you want to move some of those guys out of the taxi squad?
No,
I mean, that would secure your top pick for next year, and then boom, bump it up, and then you're out of nowhere competing and catching everyone off guard. So, whoops, we just outed your strategy here, Dad Bobs Unite. But no, this is a team for the future. I really do like Brandon Ayuk and Calvin Ridley. Those are two players that I'm still very high, and I know that some people have called into question Calvin Ridley's future, especially with Matt Ryan possibly moving on in the next couple of years. I still love Ridley's talent, and he's always been a touchdown maker too. So
no, the Falcons are going to go, and I'm going to say it now. You heard it here first on the FF Analyst podcast. The Falcons are going to go just like Green Bay did. They're going to transition from the Brett Favre into the Aaron Rodgers, not quite to that degree, but they're going to go from Matt Ryan into another franchise quarterback because they have another top pick here. So I think that the Falcons are going to not skip a beat over the next few years with the quarterback replacement, and I think they're going to address that in the draft here, get another top tier quarterback in this draft, and transition into their future.
All right, yeah. The calls again now are for Chewy to burn it down. So there you go, Chewy. You heard it from your league mates. Burn it down. All right, number 3.
Just to put things in perspective, Chewy, a guy with Cam Newton, Brian Hill, and Le'Veon Bell just got ranked higher than you. So burn it down, buddy. Burn it down.
Some humble pie right there. How do you cook a humble pie? Yeah. All right.
You add a little Lev Bell and throw it in the oven and let it burn.
Ooh. Drew Sample at tight end. Yuck. All right. Anyways, number 3, Lamar 420. Number 3 overall, and number 3 in starter points. So we're going to see not only a very good team, but a team that is very has the depth as well to compete. And Patrick Mahomes is a great way to start here at quarterback. Ronald Jones, Sony Michel, not as strong at running back, but we'll see hopefully some other pieces crop up here. Chris Godwin, Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf. That is a very, very solid trio of wide receivers. Hayden Hurst at tight end. And as bad as Hurst was this past year, he was still a top 10 tight end. DJ Chark, Jerry Jeudy, Mike Williams in the flex spots, Lamar Jackson. So Mahomes and Jackson are going to be your quarterbacks to the future. And then you've got a solid wide receiver core. It's very clear that with your starters, you were looking at wide receivers and quarterbacks. But let's look at the bench here. We've got Josh Rosen, Jerick McKinnon, Matt Breida, Ito Smith, Kerryon Johnson. So a lot of dart throws at running back. Brashad Perriman, Dante Pettis, Mecole Hardman, Scotty Miller, Gerald Everett, Nick Boyle, Kyle Allen, Philip Lindsay, another free agent dart thrower. Don't know where he's going to be next year. Josh Oliver, Jay Sternberger. On the taxi squad, he's got Henry Ruggs and Gabriel Davis and Jake Fromm and Darrington Evans. He's also got the 2.10, so the 210 and the 202, and then a third and a couple fourths, and all the 2022 picks intact. But Billy, with this team, is there consideration of like trying to flip Ruggs and Davis for a running back that's an upgrade from Rojo and Sony Michel? Because really, like, I look at Rojo and Sony Michel, and that may be, or especially Sony, the Achilles heel of this team.
Yeah, my notes on here are saying that running backs are very questionable, and especially like what happens if Tampa Bay re-signs Fournette?
Then Rojo gets maximum 12 carries in a game.
Yeah, and now this team is a little bit in trouble. So I think that there's a lot of question marks here at running back. He doesn't have a lot of early picks to address that. At what point do you say, hey, I'm going to combine these picks and try to move up and get somebody?
Yeah.
I think that you could do that, and you could even combine it with Ruggs.
Or do you try to get Judy? Like find a Judy lover?
Yeah, I mean, Judy's still going to perform. And so, I mean, Judy's not going to make or break your team because you could slide Ruggs in there. You have picks in wide receivers that you can get later in 2.02. So I think it's very clear you have to make a move for a running back here if you're going to compete. And the rest of this team is fantastic. I mean, I love Godwin. I love Cooper Kupp. I love DK Metcalf, which you know is my 1.01 in Dynasty rankings.
I do.
And we've gone back and forth on this one. Well, that's another topic for another day.
We have.
And
one thing on Jerry Jeudy, though, he and AJ Green were the only 2 wide receivers this year to have over 100 targets and under 50% reception or catch percentage.
Yeah, and if you rearrange AJ Green's initials, what does it spell?
Jag, just a guy.
Just like Jerry Jeudy. But okay, nonetheless.
Ooh, ouch.
I'm not a Jeudy fan, man.
That's so rude.
He's going to be
behind.
Not
a Drew Lock fan. That's
I'm not either. But you know what? In a team that has, a crap quarterback or a subpar quarterback, they're going to be playing from behind, and it's going to be volume.
Aaron Rodgers going to the Denver Broncos.
No, Aaron Rodgers going to the Denver Broncos.
I mean, the Bears.
They would have traded him. If they were going to trade him, they would have traded him to the Rams. The Rams inquired, and the Rams just gave up every pick until 2023.
Well, it's because of that connection with Brad Holmes and Les Snead.
But it's also they had clearly said they went after Rodgers first, and they were told not trading him. So if that was Green Bay's chance to move on for him to get 2 first-round picks and another quarterback, they would have done so if they were going to move on from him. I think so. So I actually believe Green Bay this time around. They say that he's not on the trade block
for now.
Yeah. Ask the Bears next year.
Stop. Oh my. All right. Enough of that bad talk. Number 2, Dog. Okay. We're looking at the number 2 overall ranked team, but number 9 in starter points. So the starting lineup's not going to be super impressive, but you're going to see a lot of more depth and perhaps pieces to work with here. So Baker Mayfield at quarterback, DeAndre Swift, who I think is going to be better than, like, we just scratched the surface with DeAndre Swift last year. Adrian Peterson had 150 carries, Billy.
Why?
150.
Because Matt Patricia doesn't know how to coach.
He wasn't even like Adrian Peterson wasn't even in the offseason program with the Lions. Like, he was just signed like a couple weeks before the start of the year. Anyways, so Kareem Hunt, Michael Thomas, Kenny Golladay, Deebo Samuel, Noah Fant at tight end, your boy Noah Fant. Melvin Gordon is there, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, Jared Goff at Superflex, Sam Darnold, and Drew Lock. So this is a team that has 4 quarterbacks.
And that's why he's ranked where he's at.
For now. Kalen Ballage, Justin Jackson, Darrell Williams, T.Y. Hilton on the bench. So a possible fill-in. Marquise Hollywood Brown on the bench as well. I'm surprised that Marquise Brown is on the bench for him, but that's a possibility. We see Jared Cook, who probably played his last days in New Orleans, Mo Alley Cox, Albert Okay, as Billy abbreviated, Demarcus Robinson,
he's
Kyle
just okay.
Rudolph. He is just okay. Well, for your Noah Fant shares, he better be just okay.
And I can't pronounce I just can't pronounce his last name. That's what it is.
Devin Duvernay and Harrison Bryant and Keyshawn Vaughn on the taxi squad. 3rd round picks and a 4th round pick, but there are 2022 firsts and two 2022 seconds. And
today, Junior.
No, yes. Well, I get it. Whatever. Okay, so this is a team that is not super impressive in the starting lineup, has a lot of resources to work with, and I think that this is a team like maybe 2 or 3 moves away from being a contender for right now.
Yeah, the thing is he's just balanced. Is what it is. A lot of balance. I mean,
he's going to need to consolidate, and I don't know what other teams are willing to.
He needs to move one of these quarterbacks is what it is. You don't need 4 here. I mean, you move one of your quarterbacks here to one of these teams that only has 2, quarterbacks that has a lot of depth, and you give yourself another depth piece and a positional player, and that's the difference maker of this team. And
probably look to trade Drew Lock, because I think that there's more future upside for Sam Darnold than there is for Drew Lock.
Yeah, or you know what? Or you can play devil's advocate here and wait and see what the Jets do and what quarterback they address, and give that guy Sam Darnold for insurance pieces, or wait and see if he gets moved. Because personally,
Yep.
it's in the Jets' best interest to move Darnold for their own future and draft capital. So I'm going to wait till free agency hits. I'm going to wait till the draft hits, see what happens with Dan Arnold and not Dan Arnold, Sam Darnold, and with the Jets, and see what happens. And then from there, I move them and get you some pieces that are going to help you win this championship.
Okay. So yes, Chewy has already guessed and nuanced here who the number one ranked overall team and number one in starter points. So at number one, I'm the champ, Kyler Murray, Derrick Henry, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Mike Evans, Bob Woods, Terry McLaurin, Jonnu Smith, who is a free agent. There might be up or down in that stock there in projection here. Will Fuller at the flex, Ezekiel Elliott at a flex spot. Devontae Parker, Joe Burrow at super flex. So very young quarterback. He's got a very solid wide receiver, 3 wide receiver core. He's got 3 deep at wide receiver 1, in my opinion, or running back 1. Depends on your view of Clyde Edwards-Helaire now. I know, Billy, we were talking in the or during the playoffs, like, I don't know, we can't trust Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Darrell Williams was the one who was being the lead back in this backfield, and with Damian Williams coming back, that might be a question, but still a heck of a starting lineup here. I'm the champ build, so he's got his old fart quarterbacks, Big Ben, Tom Brady, and then Teddy Two Gloves on the bench as well. Taylor Heineke. I love me some Taylor Heineke. Jacoby Brissett, who's a free agent. Rashard Higgins. He's also got Kenyon Drake. Like, it's not like Drake isn't going to be a dust play this year. He's going to get wherever he lands. He's going to be a 10 to 12 touch running back. Devin Singletary, he's not nothing either. Like, Devin Singletary, didn't he go in like the 14th round of our startup this past week? Like, what is going on? Like, I know that Zach Moss and Devin Singletary are not like great running back. And I know that Buffalo has gone to pass first, but like the hate on Devin Singletary, I think, has gone too far. Jamison Crowder is there. Preston Williams, who was a hype train last offseason. Blake Jarwin there. We'll see. Anthony Miller, who didn't just disappointed this year. Sammy Watkins. Wait. Billy, how can this team be ranked number one with Sammy Watkins on it? Like, is okay. I'm officially changing Sammy Watkins from our projections to -1,000. Okay, and let's see what happens there.
12th place.
So officially, Champ is first in starter points now and 12th place overall ranking. Just wanted to let GG know that he has been promoted to number one. I am the champ because you decided to have Sammy Watkins rostered on your team. Look, -1,000. I'm putting it out there. I'm declaring to the world, I'm the champion, -1,000 for rostering Sammy Watkins. How dare you? What is going on here? Let's look at anything relevant. Doesn't even have a 21 first or second. Doesn't have a 22 first. So this is really, a typical I'm the champ build. I win now. Got to win big. He's got depth at running back and quarterback, and he's got some really good wide receivers. It's got at least, we talked about Jamison Crowder earlier, but useful piece there. John Brown could still have one more year in him. Rashard Higgins showed some nice flashes. There's a lot of possible upside here. I feel like a lot more than some other benches.
Yeah. So I really like his build. I think I'm the champion. Normally he's a lot older. I think he did a good job here with his quarterbacks. I think that he did a fantastic job with his team overall. You have a lot of quarterbacks here, and some of them are on their last legs. So I'd be looking at moving at least one, if not two of these quarterbacks here. I mean, taking a look at quarterbacks like to a team like Dark Side Emperors, who's in the running that could use a quarterback that might be able to give you a second round pick for someone to be competitive this year, or taking a look at one of your running backs like Singletary or Drake. And somebody said that somebody said that, there he is. Drake is dust. Stop being nice. Well, for statistical purposes, Drake finished 2020 as running back 15. He was 10th overall in touchdowns. He was 12th overall in rushing yards with 955. And the rest of his stats are pretty subpar. He had, I think he had 2 drops to 17th overall, breakaway percentage only 2.9, juke rate was only 12.5. So in those metrics, yes, subpar, but overall he still finishes a top 15 running back. So
he got vultured so much too by Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray had 11 rushing touchdowns or something ridiculous.
So you can take a player like Drake or Singletary and trade to someone like Lamar, who's also in the hunt, and get another pick, because Lamar has 202, 2.1, 3.12. So you're able to move some of these pieces that have a little bit more age on them and give them to teams that could maybe even, contend, but at the same time gain draft capital back to where it's not really hurting your team because you have a lot of pieces here. And you're also setting yourself up for future success leading here past 2021.
All right, Billy, that was a lot of fun. That was our first 2021 league review. How about that?
It was an awesome time. This is our first time going live, guys, so we really appreciate it.
This was a ton of fun.
It was a lot of fun. I'm so happy that we switched platforms because I'm looking forward to doing these live with you guys all through 2021. So before we end the show, I'd like to remind everybody here that we have our pricing on our website at ffanalysts.com. For any future league reviews or draft podcasts that you may want, simply go to our website to find all of our pricing, our articles, rankings. Jeff's still mad. DFS content and more. You can also make sure to follow us on Twitter at ffanalysts, at ffmuzio, at ffstalder, or on Facebook at Fantasy Football Fanalists. Real quick, before you guys log off, please go to our YouTube channel at Fantasy Football Fanalists. I changed the name so it's easier to find. We really need to hit 100 followers. So 100 subscribers.
So you got to click the subscribe button.
Hit the subscribe button. Go to our website, hit the subscribe button. But it really helps us because we're able to move up the rankings and we're able to actually customize our URL to have Fantasy Football Fanalists in it. So please subscribe to us on YouTube. It's free and it'll really help us out. And then we look forward to doing more of these in the future with you guys. So message us, DM us, whatever you want to do. We're more than happy to do these in the future. And I think that's it. So make sure to tune in with us Friday. That's this Friday, February 19th at 5 p.m. And we're going to review our 2020 running back consensus rankings recap. So review everything that we projected in 2020, go over what we got right, go over what we got wrong, because that's what we are. We are all about transparency here. So we'll see you then. Thanks for joining and good night. We had a lot of fun.